Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Wrestling Entertainment. This is Joel Perez here for another edition of your weekly episodic news show. This is Behind the Mic, and it is Behind the Mic episode number 49, your weekend presentation. Actually, there's two weekend presentations this week on Behind the Mic. Why? Because we have later today a Clash of Champions pay-per-view, and that is the final pay-per-view of the year, so there's going to be quite a bit of talk coming out of that one. But based on the card, and you can go watch my preview and predictions and find out more about what I think going into Clash of Champions. Cheap plug, I know, but going into this card, it doesn't seem like we're going to be getting a lot from this pay-per-view, but that is besides the point, because this is not Clash of Champions. This is Behind the Mic, and it is Behind the Mic episode number 49, and we do have a jam-packed episode of Behind the Mic, all headlines by the news of Vince McMahon reviving the failed XFL, which seems to be in quite a bit of speculation. And the news right now is that he's going to be announcing that on January 25th, 2018, which I'm not sure, but I do believe is the date of the 25th anniversary of Monday Night Raw. I'm not 100% sure about that. I could be wrong, but that seems to be the biggest news, craziest news at least, floating around the wrestling world right now. And it really doesn't have to do with wrestling if you do know what the XFL is, but we're going to be talking about that right here on Behind the Mic, along with the news of New Japan possibly looking to compete with the WWE in the United States. We're going to be talking about that, and if that is a possibility, we got news on John Cena and the news that he will never be working a full-time schedule ever again for the WWE. Randy Orton, who isn't necessarily on a full-time schedule either, apparently taking time off and could possibly miss WrestleMania 34. We've also got news on the real reason why Brock Lesnar is returning to Monday Night Raw next week, as well as news on two major Impact Wrestling stars soon to be coming to the WWE. We've got all that and so much more right here on Behind the Mic. But of course, before we do get into that, I want to tell you guys to make sure to go check out all the other content on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. And especially this week, there's a lot of content for all of you guys to go check out. Of course, Monday and Tuesday, you got your Monday Night Raw reviews and Smackdown reviews after those shows go off the air. So we were reviewing Raw and Smackdown. If you missed those shows, or you want an educated opinion on those shows, or both, make sure to go check out the Raw and Smackdown reviews for this week. Of course, Roman Reigns defending his Intercontinental Championship, and then on SmackDown, you got your go-home show for the Clash of Champions pay-per-view. On Wednesday, we had a breaking news story on the WWE Mixed Match Challenge. Try saying that one 3 times fast. Coming to Facebook Watch, and how that is going to be playing out. We talk about all the details right there on Wednesday about the WWE Mixed Match Challenge. So make sure to go check that video out if you want to know about that, if you want to know my opinion on that, the reason why that is happening. We got it all right there on that breaking news video on Wednesday. And speaking of Clash of Champions, on Thursday morning, we had the Clash of Champions preview and prediction. So if you want to know everything going into Clash of Champions, you got it right there, all in one place. We're talking about the builds to Clash of Champions, the quality of SmackDown Live going into Clash of Champions, the matches at Clash of Champions, how those matches are going to affect Smackdown Live television coming out of Clash of Champions. Of course, predictions and what I think is going to happen within those matches. So we got all that, so much more right there on the preview and predictions. If you missed that, make sure to go check that out. And of course, upcoming content. You're watching Behind the Mic right now, but later today, you're going to be watching the Clash of Champions review and results. So make sure to stay tuned for that one as well. And of course, after Clash of Champions, which is the final pay-per-view of the year, we're going to be starting off our end of the year top 10s. And we're going to be doing everything. We're going to be doing top 10 matches of the year, top 10 superstars of the year, top 10 worst superstars of the year, and so much more. I promise you guys at least 5 top 10. So if you want any of that, all that content right here on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. And the best way to stay tuned is to subscribe to the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe. Like I always say, if you have not subscribed yet, I do not know what you are waiting for. So much content, everything regarding the WWE right here on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe. Of course, make sure to smash that like button. And the question of the day, the comment I will be leaving for you guys to reply in the comment section down below is, will you guys be watching the XFL if WWE does, of course, decide to revive the failed football organization? Will you guys be interested in watching Extreme Football League XFL? I'll be answering that question in this very video myself, but for now, you guys make sure to go comment that. For now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to stay tuned because we're going straight into the news stories right here on Behind the Mic. And we start off with, of course, this news story on the XFL, and Vince McMahon now is thinking about bringing back the XFL. Let's talk about it. At the end of ESPN's recent 30 for 30 documentary on the XFL, WWE owner Vince McMahon and former NBC Sports chairman Dick Ebersol, the man who spearheaded the failed early aughts competitor to the NFL, mused about possibly giving it another go. Do you ever have any thoughts about trying again? Ebersol asked McMahon per Football Talk's transcription. Yes, I do, McMahon replies. I don't know what it would be. I don't know if it's going to be another XFL or what it may be or how different I would make it. It seems like in some way it would tie in either with the NFL itself or the owners. And then on Friday, a journalist and pro wrestling fan named Brad Shepard tweeted this: exclusive! Vince McMahon is looking to bring back the XFL and may announce it on January 25th, 2018. Shepard didn't provide much in the way of a follow-up to that tweet, but Deadspin's David Bixenspan asked a WWE spokesperson about it. The wrestling company neither confirmed nor denied that McMahon was starting a new football league, but it sure seems as if he's at least thinking about it. Vince McMahon has established and is personally funding a separate entity from WWE, Alpha Entertainment, to explore investment opportunities across the sports and entertainment landscapes, including professional football. Mr. McMahon has nothing further to announce at this time. That was the WWE spokesperson and what they said to David Bixenspan. And he tweeted, a WWE spokesperson issued the attached statement to me and at Deadspin in response to my inquiry about tonight's rumors of a soon-to-be-announced XFL revival. They declined further comment. Whatever Vince McMahon's Alpha Entertainment is, it's self-funded and separate from WWE. He also tweeted this: and what I'm sure is a complete coincidence, WWE filed for 2 new XFL trademarks this year, both long after the 30 for 30 premiered. So those are 2 very, very coincidental things right there. But as PFT's, if I can speak here, as PFT's Mike Florio posits, the time could be right for an alternative football league that gives fans dissatisfied with the NFL exactly what they want: unchecked violence, players standing for the national anthem, etc. And as the 30 for 30 documentary noted, the problem with the XFL wasn't its business model. Indeed, innovations such as the Skycam and in-game interviews were co-opted by the NFL, but rather that the football was terrible because the league rushed to meet its debut date. The biggest mistake they made with the XFL was that they only gave the players 30 days to train together as a team. You had guys who were working at Bed Bath & Beyond, and 30 days later they were in the XFL. Charlie Ebersol, Dick Ebersol's son and the director for the 30 for 30 documentary, told Fast Company earlier this year. They spent 6 to 8 months marketing the league and 30 days training the players. If they've done 4 and 4, they sold this thing like it was the iPhone, and they rolled it out like it was whatever piece of crap Motorola put out, a more carefully planned rollout would probably go a long way. So that is the news. That is the news. And right now, I'm really not buying this. I mean, this was tweeted out. This all started from a tweet from somebody who's not even a full professional wrestling journalist. He's in that, and he also broke some news earlier in the day about something. I'm not even sure. But, I mean, I would not buy this just yet. I mean, why would WWE start the XFL back over again, start this from scratch back over again, if they can barely even handle their own product? I mean, the WWE can barely run the WWE. Focus on making Monday Night Raw and Smackdown Live a good product instead of looking at all these other business ventures. I mean, Vince McMahon, how much crap is going to be running through his mind if he decides to start this back over again? WWE, sure, they have the funds and probably the resources to make this thing work, but realistically, who is going to be wanting to watch this? The NFL has such a big fan base, bro. I mean, who is going to want to watch this? I know a lot of wrestling fans aren't going to be interested in this. I mean, what's the point? I'll probably watch the first edition of the XFL, if this is even true, which right now I'm heavily doubting. I'll probably watch the first edition and probably never watch again, because this is not something that interests me. Yeah, maybe some people will be interested in it, but is it going to be that interesting? Is it going to have that much of an interested fan base? Is there that much of a market for this that people are going to perhaps make this a television show that is actually going to want to be funded by some cable network? I mean, I doubt it. I really, really do doubt it at this point. I mean, what is the point to bringing this back? The only thing I can see is Vince McMahon trying to bring in another source of revenue for the WWE to make the WWE even more profitable than it already is, to make himself more profit than he already has, to make himself that much more of a billionaire. Maybe that's what he's looking for here. But again, I question what the point is. Why don't you focus on making the WWE a better product instead of going for something completely different, completely out of your lane, something that is already being done by the NFL? The NFL is huge. There's no way that Vince McMahon and the XFL are going to be able to compete with that, at least not for a long, long time. There's no point to this. The original was a failure, and it was a failure for a reason. WWE will not, or not WWE, because this is something completely different. Vince McMahon, I mean, it's going to take a while for this to get on its feet. You're going to have to find capable players. You're going to have to train these capable players. You're going to have to invest all this money in this for it to all be possibly a huge loss like the first one was. It's a big risk. But I mean, Vince McMahon, he's been said to have a crazy mind, and I actually believe that. I mean, look at all the things we've seen on WWE television over the years. So, I mean, this is a really wacky, crazy idea, but at the same time, I see this being completely possible, and at the same time, I see this being completely impossible. It's the possible at this point. I don't know. I do not know, but it's just not something I myself would be interested in. If there is a market for this, if you guys would be interested in this, please comment down below and tell me why, because I just don't see where the appeal for something like this is. It failed the first time, but apparently it failed the first time because the football sucked. Maybe they can actually correct that this time around. I mean, I've never been the biggest fan of football, but if I had to choose a favorite sport besides, of course, wrestling, it would have to be football. So, I mean, let's see how this goes. Let's see if this is true. Let's wait till January 25th and see if this is all true. Because if it is, I'm going to be very interested to see how this plays out, how this works out. Because right now, all I'm thinking of is the WWE. This entire podcast is about the WWE and how the WWE can book their product to be better. And I feel like Vince McMahon, who apparently all decisions still run through Vince McMahon, now he's going to be focusing on an entirely different product as well, when he can barely book the WWE to be something watchable. That's just not something that I see turning out very, very good. So tell me what you guys think about this in the comment section below. But this is not something that necessarily interests me, and this is not something that I'm going to tell you is true until January 25th, until something gets announced. For now, let's move on to the next news story. Moving on here, we move on to this news story, which I find to be very, 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 very interesting. And it has to do with New Japan Pro Wrestling being serious about competing with the WWE in the US due to Mark Cuban and Access TV. Now, I'm going to read this article, and then I'm going to give you my very candid opinion about this subject. There's no doubt the WWE is the professional wrestling juggernaut of the United States market, with Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon at the helm. The company went from a New York-centric promotion to selling out stadiums every year for the annual WrestleMania event. Although the other two major promotions that are televised, Impact Wrestling and Ring of Honor, have their fans and supporters, neither are close to the production level and international recognition as World Wrestling Entertainment. The only period of WWE having serious competition was during the Monday Night Wars, which lasted from 1995 until WCW's demise in 2001. For over 80 weeks, Monday Nitro was able to maintain a streak of beating Raw in ratings. During this time, WCW surpassed WWE in popularity due to the advent of the NWO, along with legends competing from the company such as Sting, Ric Flair, Randy Savage, and Bret Hart. In 2010, Impact Wrestling, led by Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, made a bold and severely premature move by going head-to-head with Raw. From the very beginning, WWE pounced Impact Wrestling, averaging nearly 4 million more viewers and even more as time progressed. It only took 8 months after their official move on March 8th for Impact Wrestling to realize that it was a very poor decision, and they announced their move back to Thursday nights under the guise that fans made it clear that they preferred the Thursday night time period. Now, there's another world-renowned promotion that could be giving WWE some competition. Not only has New Japan Pro Wrestling been one of the most popular promotions in Japan since its inception in 1972, it has also given many ex-WWE names an opportunity to shine in a promotion that is also soaring in popularity, while not maximizing their potential in WWE, largely due to the creative team failing to use them properly. Names such as Juice Robinson, formerly CJ Parker, Lance Archer, Davey Boy Smith Jr., and Beretta have all revitalized themselves in New Japan. Since 2014, Access TV, owned by Mark Cuban, has been airing New Japan Pro Wrestling content. For most of this time, Access would air a rerun of shows that occurred months before. Now, with Access continuing to grow in popularity, the mission is to show more current New Japan Pro Wrestling shows. We're looking to expand it on Friday nights. We want to do more live as opposed to the delay, and we're talking to them about special events, Cuban told Sports Illustrated. Cuban even paid a large amount of money to purchase the ability to air the 3 top matches on New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom 12. Kazuchika Okada versus Naito for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Jay White for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. And Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega for the IWGP United States Championship to air in the US just a couple of days after the January 4th event. Regarding whether Cuban thinks Vince McMahon views New Japan Pro Wrestling as competition, here's what the billionaire had to say. No, he thinks we're just little shits. We're not a threat because of the language. That's the biggest challenge, the language. But if you're a purist for wrestling and you like the action, it's the best promotion by far. People here aren't going to connect us directly, but if you really love wrestling, then it's a no-brainer. While Cuban admits that he is not a hardcore wrestling fan, he is significantly increasing his interest and investment in the New Japan product. With Cuban's financial backing and Access TV as an outlet, WWE could be seeing a higher level of competition over the next several years, especially since New Japan is beginning to have more independently operated shows in the United States. Now, this is very, very interesting because WWE is by far the biggest wrestling company in the United States. There's going to be no topping them for years and years and years to come. I don't see WWE being topped for God knows how long. I really don't. I really don't see anybody topping the WWE. And that's because nobody is going to top the WWE. I feel like that's just simple mathematics. New Japan is exactly that. Japan. It is not a United States run company. And it is one of the most popular companies in Japan. But in the United States, there's no way New Japan is going to come even close to what WWE is doing. Yes, New Japan is significantly cooler than the WWE. Yes, the quality of matches in New Japan are significantly better than they are in WWE. The storyline is significantly better than it is in WWE. But like Mark Cuban just said in those quotes, it's a language barrier. It is a language barrier. WWE is still the prime time, and we are conditioned to believe that they are the prime time, and you're always going to sit down in front of your TV, or at least most people are always going to be conditioned to sit down in front of their TV and watch Monday Night Raw, and watch Smackdown Live. Or if you're asked, what's wrestling? Most people are going to say WWE. You're not going to hear New Japan. You're not going to hear Ring of Honor. You're not going to hear Lucha Underground. You're always going to hear WWE. That's just going to be the case. And I don't think there's no way that anytime soon New Japan is going to rival that. They can do all the business they want in the United States. But until they have a show running, getting popular in the United States, until they have that official show that's there every single Wednesday, Monday, or whatever day it is, that's there, getting high viewership and having people buzzing in the United States, I mean, I just don't see them doing it. Because everybody knows what the WWE is. If I asked a casual, what's the WWE, they can immediately list me 5 names from the WWE. They'll say Randy Orton, they'll say John Cena, they'll say Undertaker, maybe they'll say Rey Mysterio. But New Japan, nobody's gonna name me a Kazuchika Okada, nobody's gonna name me a Naito, nobody's gonna name me a Hiroshi Tanahashi, nobody's gonna do that. I mean, nobody's gonna do that. It's unfortunate, but nobody's gonna do that. At least not anytime soon. At least not anytime soon, and I don't see it happening anytime soon. What New Japan does have, however, what they do have is the top guy. They do have the top guy in the professional wrestling world. But what the completed piece of that puzzle has to be to make him the top guy is that he has to come to WWE. And who am I talking about? No, I'm not talking about Okada. I'm talking about Kenny Omega, bro. Kenny Omega is the top guy in the professional wrestling world. He has everything needed to make WWE to be the top face in WWE. That's what Kenny Omega is. That's what New Japan has. They have that top star. They do. Another thing New Japan has, and something I think is actually providing legit competition to the WWE, is the Bullet Club. New Japan themselves is not going to be direct competition to WWE, but you know something that is, it is the Bullet Club. Because the Bullet Club, they keep pushing WWE's buttons. They keep doing things that are going further and further beyond the limits of what we've seen in independent wrestling. They've given these people, these names, hope that there is something outside of the WWE, and I'll be damned if that is not competition right there. They're telling these people in the WWE, these guys, these wrestlers in the WWE who are being wasted away, like the Ty Dillingers, like all these guys coming up from NXT, the Finn Balor's, they're telling them that, yeah, you can leave WWE and still be a name. You can leave the WWE and still make as much, if not more, money. That's what the Bullet Club is telling you. And no, not everybody's going to be a Cody Rhodes. Not everybody's going to be a Kenny Omega. Not everybody's going to be the Young Bucks. But they're telling you, you're going to make your damn money. If you work hard enough, you are going to make it. You don't have to be part of the machine. And I will be damned if that is not competition. But New Japan, for a long time, is not going to be competition. The Bullet Club, they are. Ring of Honor, I can see making that step further than New Japan, because there is that language barrier there. New Japan is still Japan, and something like that is not going to transition easily into the United States. At least I don't think so. But leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this entire situation. I think the Bullet Club is the biggest competition to the WWE that there is. Not necessarily New Japan, not necessarily a Ring of Honor, not necessarily anything else going on in the wrestling world as much as the Bullet Club. So leave your comments in the comment section down below, because for now we move on to the next news story. And we move on here to this news story on Brock Lesnar and the real reason Brock Lesnar will return to Monday Night Raw this next week. The news broke this last week that Brock Lesnar would make his return to WWE Monday Night Raw for the December 18th episode right before Christmas. As the WWE Universal Champion, it seems he would appear more often than he does, but the WWE chooses to use him as a special attraction instead. That means when Lesnar shows up, fans know something big is about to happen. WWE.com posted a preview of the upcoming Raw and finally announced that Lesnar was coming and his reasons for showing up on TV. There's not another WWE Monday Night Raw pay-per-view until the co-branded Royal Rumble in January. This means Brock Lesnar won't compete in a match until that event, although there were original hints that he might skip that pay-per-view. However, on this past week's Monday Night Raw, Braun Strowman and Kane battled to determine the new number one contender to Brock Lesnar and his WWE Universal Championship. That match ended in a double countout and no number one contender was named. The rumors indicate that Lesnar will defend his title in a triple threat match at the Royal Rumble against both Strowman and Kane. That brings us fans to this upcoming episode of Monday Night Raw. The WWE announced that Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman will show up on Monday Night Raw to address the fact that they have no challenger for the Royal Rumble. Thanks to the double countout in the Braun Strowman match with Kane, Kurt Angle will reportedly make a decision on the number one contender to Brock Lesnar, and his appearance on Monday Night Raw will kickstart the road to the Royal Rumble match. And that sounds absolutely abysmal. You're telling me the best thing you can do with Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble is have him challenge Braun Strowman and Kane in a triple threat match, which sounds absolutely abysmal, and that's going to be a super slow matchup where Brock Lesnar is going to take a big bump early on, and he's going to be sidestepped from the matchup, and it's going to be Braun Strowman and Kane battling this entire matchup, and then at the last moments, Brock Lesnar will come in, get rid of Braun Strowman, F5 Kane, and bada boom shakalaka retains the Universal Championship. First of all, that's what I see that Universal Championship match being. Second of all, there's no reason for Kane at 50 years old in 2018 at that point to be in a championship matchup at the main event of a pay-per-view, nonetheless the main event of the Royal Rumble. That sounds absolutely abysmal. And there's no reason to be doing that. There's so many better ideas that I've heard from people, from myself, going into the Royal Rumble that could have been done, that could still be done if WWE wants to put their brain capsules together and make something truly special at the Royal Rumble. At the Royal Rumble, have Braun Strowman and Kane go one-on-one. Fine. Have yourself at it. Give yourself that. Fine. I'll give you that one. But you can do something so much better in the Universal Championship matchup that will actually further storyline, believe it or not, further storyline going into WrestleMania. First of all, my idea was to have Kurt Angle come out, or Brock Lesnar come out with Paul Heyman, and they'll pretty much say, yep, there's no competition for us on Monday Night Raw. Brock Lesnar has proven that he will take on any 1, 2, or 3 challengers at any pay-per-view and still come out defiant as your Universal Champion. He is the reigning, defending Universal Champion. And then they walk out, Kurt Angle's music hits, and Kurt Angle will be like, you said you'll take on any 1, 2, or 3 challengers at any given pay-per-view? Well, why don't we try that? Because at the Royal Rumble, yeah, Paul Heyman is right. There is no one single challenger that can take on Brock Lesnar on this roster and beat him. So Brock Lesnar won't just go against one challenger. He'll go against 2 challengers, and there's going to be 2 fatal 4-ways or whatever to decide Brock Lesnar's 2 challengers at the Royal Rumble. So there, you can do that. You can do that, right? So let's have Dean Ambrose in one fatal 4-way and Seth Rollins in the other. We're going to have Kane and Braun Strowman in the same fatal 4-way, and they're going to lay each other out in that same fatal 4-way, setting up their Royal Rumble match. Oh my god, that makes sense. That makes sense, doesn't it? And then Seth Rollins will beat and pin whoever is that 4th man in that matchup. So it's going to be, let's say, Seth Rollins, Kane, and Braun Strowman in one fatal 4-way, and then some other random person on the Raw roster. Seth Rollins will pin that other random person on the Raw roster. Then you will have the other fatal 4-way, and some way, somehow, some way or another, Dean Ambrose will beat and win that fatal 4-way. So bam, you have Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose going into one triple threat match against Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. Now, what do those 2 names have to do with each other? I wonder. So, what you're going to do is that you can either do 2 things in that scenario. You can have Dean Ambrose turn on Seth Rollins in that time, and then you'll have the dynamic going into that Universal Championship matchup that they're supposed to work together to take out Brock Lesnar because they can't do it on their own, but at the same time, they hate each other and they want to kill each other. So what are they going to do? Are they going to work together, or are they going to kill each other? And you got that dynamic going into the Royal Rumble matchup. Or you have Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins going in as a team, but who's going to win? Who's going to beat Brock Lesnar? They're going to take out Brock Lesnar, sure, but then they have to fight it out amongst each other. And they're in the same team. That's going to create dissension between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, and possibly lead to a Dean Ambrose heel turn going into WrestleMania. What? But how can that be? That makes too much sense for the WWE. I know, right? So that will create dissension. You'll have a finish where Seth Rollins inadvertently hits Dean Ambrose with his finisher instead of Brock Lesnar. That allows Brock Lesnar to hit the F5. 1, 2, 3, bada boom shakalaka. You're on your way. Roman Reigns now has more reason to fight Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania because Brock Lesnar just took out both of Roman Reigns' Shield brothers, and then that created dissension between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, and you're on your way set right there going into WrestleMania. Now, doesn't that make a whole load of sense to you, because it damn sure does to me. Yet WWE decides to go with Kane, Braun Strowman, and Brock Lesnar. How can you get more underwhelming than that? How? The only thing I'll give WWE credit for is that you're going to have these two guys in this matchup, and that won't allow them to go into the Royal Rumble, or at least I think, because last year Roman Reigns was in the Universal Championship matchup, and WWE decided to troll us all, and it ruined that Royal Rumble for the most part, because WWE decided to troll us all and have Roman Reigns come in at number 30 after he won, after he was in the World Championship matchup at the Royal Rumble. But that made no sense. But hopefully WWE decides to play it by the rules this time, and if you do have Braun Strowman and Kane in this Universal Championship matchup, that will eliminate them from being in the Royal Rumble, because you don't want Braun Strowman taking an elimination in the Royal Rumble. So at least you will have that. And at the same time, if you do have Braun Strowman in the Royal Rumble, it's just going to be this huge gap that Braun Strowman is going to be eliminating all these men. And with all the worthy names you have on these rosters, you don't want a lot of throwaway eliminations like that, which is just Braun Strowman throwing this guy out, that guy out, this guy out. Because that's what you are going to have to do if you have these two big guys in the Royal Rumble. It's going to be like a struggle to eliminate them. So it's going to make the Royal Rumble match more interesting, because you don't have those two big guys in there. You just have all these guys who are on an even playing field, as I get notifications, and it comes off as a better match if you ask me. That's going to make the Royal Rumble better, and that's the only advantage WWE has with having Braun Strowman and Kane in this Universal Championship match. But besides that, realistically, do you want to see that triple threat match? No. Would you rather see a classic like what we seen between Seth Rollins, John Cena, and Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble in 2015? Or would you rather see three sluggish giants with a Brock Lesnar who's probably not going to want to work, a Kane who's at 50 years old, and a Braun Strowman who's not going to do much to make this equation better? Realistically, put those two things together. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are my thoughts on this going into the Royal Rumble, and that's the reason why Brock Lesnar will be on Raw next week to set up the Universal Championship match. For now, we move on here to John Cena and the news about John Cena not working a full-time schedule for WWE ever again. And this seems to be big news, but I don't know why it's big news, because realistically we've been expecting this. We have been expecting this, but it does tie in with WWE building new stars, and a rant that I do want to go on that. It's no secret that John Cena's priorities have changed over the past couple of years. He has been wrestling less every year, and his status in Hollywood continues to rise fast. John Cena's days might be numbered as a professional wrestler, but he's adamant as ever about remaining loyal to WWE and returning to the ring whenever he can. However, Cena recently dropped a bombshell about his WWE future during an interview. While promoting Ferdinand, the 16-time WWE champion did an interview with Wrestle Talk and said very clearly that he cannot handle a full-time schedule with WWE any longer. Cena claims that between his age and commitments to Hollywood and outside projects, he does not have the capability to work a full-time anymore, but he will continue to contribute like he has been over the past year on WWE programming. Along with the wear and tear on his body, movie studios won't let him wrestle while he's shooting. Since his star continues to rise, he has less time to commit to wrestling. John Cena will make his WWE return for the Christmas edition of Raw and WWE's holiday tour. That seems to be what the WWE Universe can expect from Cena in the future. He'll return for one night or a feud, but he won't have a regular role on TV again. John Cena is prepared to do just about anything WWE officials ask him to do for the company based on his availability. He is also prepared for the powers that be to tell him that he's no longer needed at all. It's been a subtle transition, but WWE is no longer John Cena's top priority. There have been a ton of rumors about Cena's WWE future over the past few years, But it's another thing entirely to hear it from his own mouth. On paper, Cena doesn't need to wrestle anymore. He's one of the few wrestlers to launch a successful movie career and transition into the mainstream. The WWE Universe appreciates his commitment to WWE, but the company has thrived using the biggest names sparingly. John Cena has earned his part-time status, but it's time for performers like Roman Reigns to carry the load on Raw and Smackdown Live into the future. So that is the news on John Cena and his part-time schedule being official. You heard it from the mouth of John Cena himself. But the interesting thing here to me is that WWE having to rely on these stars. And this is a rant I like to go on every once in a while because it is something that needs to be noted. WWE, in many ways, has failed to build new stars. And you're thinking, holy crap, John Cena was WWE's top face. Who in the WWE is prepared to replace John Cena in such a way? Do you really see Roman Reigns being capable of taking John Cena's position like that? I would say, and this isn't just to bust Roman Reigns' balls because I don't like the guy, but I would say no, Roman Reigns is not prepared to take on John Cena's position like that. And AJ Styles even. You look at AJ Styles at his age, is he prepared to take the position of a John Cena? No. No. They're not. WWE has built nobody who is ready to take on the position of John Cena. Have they had stars in their position like that have been ready to take John Cena's place? Of course they have. The first two names that come to mind are Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. But they drove CM Punk straight out of the company with treatment by treating him like garbage, and Daniel Bryan has the unfortunate injury situation. WWE lost their two biggest stars in the span of 2 years, and that was devastating. But at the same time, WWE has had stars on their hands who can take John Cena's place, and they failed at building them. Finn Balor, when he was in NXT, before they ruined him earlier this year, many were speaking about taking the place of John Cena, but they decided to ruin Finn Balor. Shinsuke Nakamura, in many ways, could have been a top star, not on the level of John Cena, but he could have been up there as well if you decided to build him properly. Bobby Roode, who right now is being treated like garbage, can be up there and taking a place on that top slot. But you have failed to build these stars properly, and WWE seems to be continuing year after year to be depending more and more on these stars, these part-timers, the Triple H's, the Goldbergs, the Brock Lesnars, the John Cenas, the Kurt Angles now. I mean, you've been depending on them so much. I mean, look at that Survivor Series matchup we just had. Listen, I mean, the average age of the talent in that matchup was 40. 40! That is a glaring statistic, bro. It really is. And why is that? John Cena, Triple H, Kurt Angle, Randy Orton. Those are the names in that matchup. Shane McMahon, another one. It's ridiculous how WWE is depending on that type of star power when they can't build to that now. Why can't you? Why can't you do that? Why aren't you positioning somebody in the place of John Cena besides Roman Reigns? It's like, yeah, you have Roman Reigns there, but everybody else is being swept to the side in order to get Roman Reigns there. When you look at the Attitude Era, if Stone Cold was not there, you had The Rock. If The Rock wasn't there, you had Triple H. If Triple H wasn't there, you had The Undertaker. If the Undertaker wasn't there, you had Kane. You had all these top stars, Mankind, right there, all ready to take the helm. But you don't have that now. And I feel that to be a glaring problem that WWE is going to need to fix. For now, we're going to be moving on to the next news story, but I just want you guys to dwell on that one. And we move on here to, of course, this news story on Randy Orton and him taking some time off. More and more of these stars, I continue to say it, more and more of these stars continue to just go into their personal lives. They're taking time off, and that is for a reason. And WWE needs to prepare for there to be an absence of these Randy Ortons, of these John Cenas. But for now, let's read this article, and we'll give you my full opinion on that. Over the past 15 years, Randy Orton has been one of the most consistent names in the WWE. Still only 37, the Viper could be reaching the conclusion of his pro wrestling career from a full-time basis. Since his debut in 2002, Orton has produced a shoe WWE Hall of Fame resume, which includes 9 times as WWE Champion, 4 times as World Heavyweight Champions, 2 times as the Tag Team Champion, 1 time as Intercontinental Champion, a 2-time Royal Rumble winner, and a Money in the Bank contract winner. Currently, WWE is approaching the road to WrestleMania, which officially kicks off at the Royal Rumble. In comparison to 2017, the biggest event of the year may be devoid of a number of top talent. WrestleMania 33 featured names such as Goldberg, The Undertaker, and Chris Jericho. In addition to these names potentially not being a part of the New Orleans card, Orton could be added to that list as well. According to a report from Pro Wrestling, Orton is not scheduled for any events following February 11th, 2018. On this day, WWE will be putting on a Road to WrestleMania event in Oakland, California. The next night, WWE heads to Stockton, and Orton is not a featured superstar for this event via the website. He is also not featured for the Smackdown Live television episode on February 23rd, 2018 in Bakersfield, California, nor the following weeks in Phoenix, Los Angeles, Green Bay, and Indianapolis. He is, however, advertised for the Smackdown Live event in New Orleans on April 10th, 2018, following WrestleMania, so he could be appearing at the Superdome or make his return the following Tuesday at the Smoothie King Center. After 15 years of devoting his time to the WWE, Orton has made it clear that he wants a lighter schedule to transition out of being a full-time competitor. He has also shown interest in acting, recently auditioning for movie roles. Of course, cards are always subject to change, and Orton could appear at any of the events he is not advertised to be on in order to promote WrestleMania. However, it is very apparent that Orton will be having a lighter WWE schedule in 2018 and may pursue more endeavors outside of the company. And that just goes into the last argument, or the last rant that I went on. WWE needs to start building new stars, because soon you're not going to have a Randy Orton there. You're not going to have a John Cena there. You're not going to have a Brock Lesnar there. You're not going to have a Kurt Angle there. You don't have an Undertaker anymore, or at least we think you don't have an Undertaker there anymore. You have to start building up the Rudes, the Nakamura's, the Ballers, the Joes, because those are going to be the guys to take the helm when there's no Orton, no Cena, no Taker, no Angle, no Lesnar there, no McMahon, no Shane McMahon there either. You need to start building these guys up as top tier talent, because like I said, in the Attitude Era, it wasn't just Stone Cold and it wasn't just The Rock. And WWE, all they seem to be doing is focusing all this effort on Roman Reigns. It's all Roman Reigns. You're putting everybody in that sacrifice in order to get over Roman Reigns. And WWE fails to realize that at their most successful period, when they were doing their best business, when they were getting their biggest numbers, when they had their biggest fan base, when the Attitude Era was going on, it wasn't just one big name or 2 big names at the top. It was 5 or 6 big names, and that is a lot of the reason why the Attitude Era was so successful. There were so many guys to sink your teeth into. There were so many popular main event level attractions. Now, the only real main event level attractions are maybe an AJ Styles, maybe a Roman Reigns, but besides that, you're relying on part-timers. And that's it. And that is it. And it is a damn shame. WWE needs to get to work, because right now they are failing to build new stars, and many of their stars are starting to either wind down or they're just completely gone. For now, we move on to the final news story, and that final news story is 2 big Impact Wrestling stars coming to the WWE very soon, or at least per rumor, they're coming to the WWE very soon. And those 2 stars are, of course, Bobby Lashley and EC3 Ethan Carter III. Let's read this article, and then, of course, I will give you my opinion on this. Impact Wrestling has gone through major changes this year, and many of those changes have resulted in numerous major stars leaving the company. Many of those stars have headed to the WWE. Jeff and Matt Hardy jumped ship and have since regained the rights to the use of their broken Matt gimmick in the WWE. Bobby Roode left and is now a major star on Smackdown Live. Eric Young is one of the top stars in NXT. James Storm has also left Impact Wrestling, although it doesn't look like he will move to the WWE at all. However, there are still 2 major Impact stars that look to leave early in 2018, and both are rumored to head to the WWE. Bobby Lashley. The first name is Bobby Lashley. There could be small hurdles when it comes to Bobby Lashley heading to the WWE, since he also fights for the MMA promotion Bellator, and the WWE might not want to share him with an MMA promotion. However, Dave Meltzer reported in the most recent Wrestling Observer newsletter that he could be headed to the WWE anyways. Bobby Lashley worked previously in the WWE and had a major role in the company. He actually worked a major match at WrestleMania when he represented Donald Trump and fought Umaga, who had Vince McMahon in his corner. Because Lashley won the match, Donald Trump was allowed to shave McMahon's head. Bobby Lashley wrestled in the WWE from 2005 until 2008. He held the WWE ECW World title 2 times and also won the United States Championship. One possible feud for Lashley if he returns to the WWE is with Brock Lesnar, playing off both men's MMA success. The second major Impact Wrestling star that might be headed to the WWE is Ethan Carter III. He actually got his start in the WWE under the name Derek Bateman, and he competed in Season 4 of NXT when it was a reality competition series, and it was awful. It really, really was. The WWE was never able to find anything to do with Carter, so he was sent to Impact Wrestling. His gimmick was Ethan Carter III, EC3, the nephew of Impact Wrestling owner Dixie Carter. He used nepotism to work his way up the ranks and has become the best of the Impact Wrestling homegrown stars. According to Dave Meltzer, both wrestlers have their contracts expiring in the very near future, and neither will end up re-signing with the company. Impact Wrestling's new owners, Anthem Sports, have been lowballing major stars, and most of the bigger names are choosing to leave the company. Meltzer said that one of these names, if not both, will sign with the WWE. Now, this is pretty big news. These are some big Impact Wrestling stars, probably some of the last big Impact Wrestling stars. Bobby Lashley, when he was in the WWE, he was a shell of what he is now. He was very green still, and from what I've heard that he's done in TNA, because I haven't watched TNA or Impact or whatever the hell you want to call it, but from what I've heard, he has grown into his own. His mic skills have become significantly better. He's become significantly better in the ring as well, and Vince McMahon, just looking at him, is clearly going to boost him into something big. Clearly going to put this guy on Monday Night Raw to make a huge impact. And Bobby Lashley is going to be doing some big things on WWE television. Just by the look of him, Vince McMahon is going to fall in love right away. As far as EC3 goes, this is very, very big. I have more belief that EC3 is going to be coming to the WWE than Bobby Lashley, because I really don't see Bobby Lashley and WWE really working out a deal with him doing Bellator MMA. I really don't see them working out a deal. But then again, they did allow Brock Lesnar to go and have that match at UFC, so I'm not sure. But WWE being WWE, I don't think they'll let Lashley do that. But EC3, I definitely see him coming to the WWE. And this is a guy who a lot of people have said that if he wouldn't have left the WWE, if they would have kept him around, he wouldn't have grown into what he is now. And he's got a great look. And from what I've seen, he's very, very entertaining. I saw what he did with Broken Matt Hardy, and he did his own version of the Broken gimmick for a night teasing Matt Hardy, and it was absolutely hilarious. He has a ton of charisma. He's great in the ring from what I've seen of him, and he can play very, very well into what WWE is doing on SmackDown Live. He can be a top star for the WWE if WWE does indeed want to book him correctly. But you know, WWE, they have that thing against former Impact Wrestling stars that they treat them like shit. I think the only reason AJ Styles is doing great on WWE television, because originally they wanted to treat him like garbage, but the only reason AJ Styles shined through is because he's so fantastic in the ring. The only reason Bobby Roode shined through is because he went to NXT first and he developed this glorious gimmick which couldn't have been denied. So, if you ask me, Ethan Carter III, you send him down to NXT to do some fantastic work. What he would do in NXT is absolutely beyond me, because NXT is so packed right now. And if you look at it, SmackDown Live and Monday Night Raw are so packed right now. So realistically, where would these guys fit in? Bobby Lashley, I see him fitting in like a glove just because Vince McMahon is going to look at this guy and say, yeah, you're facing Brock Lesnar, you're facing Roman Reigns, you're facing Samoa Joe, you're facing Braun Strowman. We got dream matches upon dream matches for you. We're going to market you as the biggest thing, just like WWE was doing with Bobby Lashley back when he was in the WWE. But the problem there was the guy was green as hell and he did not know what he was doing, at least not yet, because WWE loves to take these big guys and push them to the moon when they don't even know what they're doing yet. So hopefully Bobby Lashley and Ethan Carter III can come back into the WWE, where both of them had failing runs last time they were here, or at least EC3 for the most part, had failing runs in the WWE, and hopefully they can make some good use of their runs this time around, because if you ask me, these two guys are probably the biggest names Impact Wrestling has left. It's going to be a big blow to Impact Wrestling, but at this point they're a failing company. They're pretty much dead in the water, so who cares? I think that if these guys come to the WWE, they can be big, big, big stars, especially Bobby Lashley, considering that Vince McMahon's going to look at this guy and be like, oh yeah, I remember you. I want you in a prime position. So that's what I think is going to happen with that. For now, let's move to the closing segments of Behind the Mic, episode number 49. For now, ladies and gentlemen, this has been all for Behind the Mic, episode number 49. I will see you guys later for Clash of Champions review and results. But for now, I just want to tell all of you to make sure to go check out all the other content. Raw reviews, Smackdown reviews, breaking news story, WWE Mixed Match Challenge on Wednesday. Make sure to go check that one out. And of course, preview and predictions to Clash of Champions. So make sure to go check all those videos out, as well as to subscribe in anticipation of the videos coming, top 10s coming to the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. And of course, make sure to smash that like button, answer the question of the day in the comment section below, and of course, make sure to go leave a follow at the Twitter account, where we live tweet with Raws, Smackdowns, pay-per-views, pretty much anytime WWE goes live. Twitter account of the same name. Go leave a follow on there. Make sure to subscribe. If you have not subscribed, I do not know what you are waiting for, because for now, this has been Joel Perez of Ringside Wrestling Entertainment, and for now, I am out of here. Thank you very, very much for watching this video. I will see you all later for Clash of Champions 2017 review and results.